All right, we are definitely changing the pace. We are switching over from Slaughter and Hogan at WrestleMania 7. We are now flipping to WCW. This is definitely a different place, different time. Bash at the Beach, 1994. Many people would wonder how Hulk Hogan ended up here. I think that definitely Hogan thought he had Vince, hooked over the barrel. WrestleMania 9, they went to a smaller venue, going to Las Vegas, where they could charge more and still come out, with a big gate. Um, Hulk Hogan, kind of at the last minute, got himself booked on the card, and then from being booked on the card, talked to Vince McMahon and doing a European tour, and Hulkamania one more time. Hulk walked out with the title. It matters, where you hear the story, but Bret the Hitman Hart will make you think that Bret lost the title to Yoko, and Yoko lost it to Hulk for Hulk to lose it back to Bret to kind of put over the new generation, and that didn't end up happening. He put over. I forgot. Okay, I was hearing Hulk Hogan's theme here as Hogan's coming out. It was that's kind of the first time I heard Hogan's WCW theme in a long time. I thought that Hulk was having another celebrity friend come out. But oh, it's Mr. T. I wonder if he was even advertised. There's Randy Hogan, the super fan, hulking out with his Hulk Hogan poster. But Hogan does the European tour, drops the belt back to Yoko, and I think Vince kind of just thought it was done. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but the writing was on the wall that I think they had squeezed every drop of Hulkamania out of Hulk Hogan at that time. There's another Hulk Hogan lookalike right there, but Hogan would leave. I think the money offer, the movie offers had started to dry up, and he goes off to do a Universal movie called Thunder in Paradise. Somehow it got branded into like, hey, we can make this movie into a TV show. I think they were going to syndicate it a lot like, Baywatch. I think he did 2 seasons of that. And, from doing the show down there in the Orlando area, and they were also doing the WCW tapings down there at, I think they were doing it at Disney MGM Grand. Flair, smoozed Hogan to talk to Bischoff, thinking that if Hogan came in, that would be good for business. And I'm sure if Hogan's making more money, Flair's making more money, and that's good for everybody all around. Hogan, Mean Gene just started showing up on the Thunder in Paradise sets and interviewing him week after week, letting him know that there was a challenge out there from Ric Flair, and finally Bash at the Beach was signed. I mean, when Hogan signed the deal to go to WCW, they go to Disneyland. They do the big parade with him in the Corvette, driving through the streets with Mean Gene Okerlund. He signs the contract, and right away we're put into this big match. And WCW was kind of handed this match by WWF. Everybody knows that Flair and Hogan were both in WWF around the time of WrestleMania 8. It would have been the big WrestleMania dream match that everybody wanted to see. I mean, if you bought a wrestling magazine ever that wasn't a WWF or a WCW deal, I mean, they always had like the wrestling super card. If Eric Bischoff and Vince could come together, and it was always Hogan versus Flair, the two guys that carried the companies. It just happened that one was a good guy because the WWF was a babyface company. As long as the babyface was on top, business was going well. WCW, they went with the heel champion, thinking that like if a babyface was on the chase, people would be more into it. But they ended up not doing it. They ran it on house shows, and they thought that the house show market was down. And I guess they thought that they did Hogan versus like a giant like Sid, and they could do Flair versus Savage, more people would care. They did WrestleMania 8 in that Hoosier Dome that was just freaking huge. WrestleMania 7 was a disappointment because they weren't able to sell out the Coliseum. They went to Las Vegas. They did a smaller house with, higher price tickets to come out all right. Then they go right to the Hoosier Dome, which at that time was a new place. Maybe it was because they go to Indianapolis, Indiana. They got a really good deal, and even if they didn't sell out, they would be all right. Indianapolis wasn't really a dream place to go to, but I can tell you as a kid, that Hoosier Dome was a thing people really, really thought of. For this match here, because this is like a really, really big deal, Hogan versus Flair for the first time on television. The match here in WCW at Bash at the Beach 1994 is in Orlando. It's at the Orlando Arena, where the Orlando Magic play. Shaquille O'Neal is out there with... He's not really with Hogan, but he's like a celebrity guest. And the guy is... There ain't no other way. Like, young Shaq looks bigger than older Shaq. I'm guessing as he put weight on, it started to, like, his body just... I don't know. He's younger, he's slender, but he looks like a freaking giant Gonzalez out there. The dude looks big. And I'm not really sure what his job is. They're saying that he's going to present the belt to the winner. So maybe he's just holding the belt during the match, I guess you can say. Mr. T came out with Hogan, so I guess he's just like a celebrity manager. But I only see Jimmy Hart at ringside. Oh, and Flair has Sherri. Didn't see her earlier. But, test of strength didn't work out for Flair. Hogan shoved Flair off both times. Now, Flair's kind of ducking him, saying that Hogan's pulling his hair. Now, Flair wants a piece of Jimmy. Kind of just standing there. But I can honestly tell you, like, if I saw this match around this time, I talked in the last video about, having to watch the WrestleMania, I'm sorry, having to watch Royal Rumble 1991 on Scramble Vision. If you know, you know. I'm sure we had the box at this time, but I don't really remember if I saw this match. It'd be July, so it'd be summertime 1994. I might have just been at my mom's house at the time. But Hogan, to me, going to WCW was a big deal because Hogan was wrestling again. But I'll tell you the truth, like, it was minor league to me. It was like, I guess it's like what you would refer to as Bush League. Just WCW didn't rival WWF to me. I mean, at this point, when you look at the card, you're seeing people like Paul Orndorff, who hadn't been a big deal to me since like WrestleMania 1 of 1985. Ricky Steamboat was there, but because I wasn't following WCW at the time, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin yet. Everything just seemed like it was a wrestling show. I mean, if it's on, I'm going to watch it. But I was like a WWF guy. I mean, even during the wars, I would follow the NWO. I was really, really into them. But I always was like deep down, like rooting for WWF to come back. I just always kind of, I guess, sided with Vince and just thought that he would figure his way out. I definitely thought it was cool that Hogan was wrestling again. But I mean, even like when my dad would talk about the fact that Hogan was going to WCW, I mean, he really thought that it was like. But then again, we were living in Sacramento, California. WCW was looked at as like a southern wrestling company based out of Atlanta on TBS. And I'm sure they went around, but I mean, they didn't come to the Arco Arena. I don't remember them coming to the Arco Arena until I don't even know. I mean, I the first time I can remember would be like Hogan versus Luger, which would be like 98, 99. I don't know. It just like, and to me watching the TBS Superstation, I know they really changed their marketing over the years, but for the longest time, and especially at this time, it was almost they knew they were on cable, but they didn't care about Pacific or Eastern. They were an Atlanta station, and that's all they really cared about. Like, they would say, wrestling at 6:05, but they wouldn't be like, hey, if you live in Sacramento, California, you got to turn the TV on at 3:05. So, catching the WCW was always kind of like on accident or by luck, is the best way to put it. Here's, Flair getting into the ring. He's ready to tussle. Let's see if we're actually going to get this on. Now they're actually wrestling. Hogan's going after it. Now, Hogan lost the belt to Yokozuna, King of the Ring, and, that was it for him in WWF on the main scale. He would go to Japan, I think 2 or 3 more times, wrestle for New Japan. I know he was in like some sort of a feud with the Great Muta. At this time, there's probably like Prodigy. If you know, you know. But I mean, like, there's not really like the World Wide Web where you're watching like videos, and it would be like later once like tape trading like saved these tapes and people uploaded them. Like, Hogan goes to New Japan as WWF champion, puts the WWF title on the desk, and he basically says, this is a toy. The one title that I really want is the IWGP Championship. And that is today looked at as like a big Vince like spitting in Vince's face. And I think that is just a different time, a different place. He was trying to put over the was WWF champion, but he wanted to be the New Japan champion. He was putting over the promotion. Yeah, he was kind of like putting his promotion down at the same time, but I don't think it was really that big of a deal. I don't know. I mean, as a casual wrestling fan, I'm sure they made this show be as big as they could have. Flair was really a name going back to WCW after being WWF champion, so you can't really like take a slack at him that it's a bad competitor. But you look at the card, you got Lord Steven Regal against Johnny B. Bad, Vader against the Big Boss Man, who was going by the Guardian Angel, Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck against Dustin Rhodes and Arn Anderson. I guess that Uncensored would be coming soon with Bunkhouse Buck and Dustin Rhodes. Steve Austin against Ricky Steamboat. I'm sure that was a great match. I wonder if people were calling for the show for that. And then Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff against Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan for the WCW tag belts. And then Hogan versus Flair. To me, honestly, Jim, come fight me in the parking lot if you want to. It doesn't look like that great of a card. I know that Hogan Flair is what you're buying the show for, but it didn't really seem like it was going to be a spectacular night of wrestling for me. But like I said, I wasn't the biggest WCW fan. I'm sure people that, watch Saturday night, week after week, they were pumped about it. But one thing that I've always wondered about is like, the WCW guys that were there before Nitro, they had already all signed deals. And like the famous thing about WCW was, they had so many dates. They had pay-per-views, they had house shows, they would work TV. But once they started doing Nitro, did they all have to sign like new contracts? Or were they working Nitro pretty much for free because they knew they were on TNT and it was a big deal? Like, at what point does Hogan go to Bischoff and it says, like, hey, you got me wrestling on Nitro, not just doing promos. I'm flying in and I'm, very early days, he wrestles, Big Boss Man on the first Nitro. He wrestles Luger, I think, on the third one. They're making those shows out to be a big deal, and Hogan's wrestling a lot. I think he loses to Arn Anderson on one of the early Nitros because Dave Meltzer put in an observer that, Hogan doesn't do jobs, and he was trying to prove Meltzer that he was wrong. I think that was on an early one. But I mean, like, at one point does he go to Bischoff and he's like, hey, you want me to, wrestle more dates on TV, especially dates that I might be losing a match or something like that. I'm gonna need something else, brother. Flair's playing the tricks, beating him down. This is a different style of Hogan wrestling. I mean, definitely you can tell Hogan's not on the juice yet. I mean, like, when he goes when he goes Hollywood, not right off the bat, but like the rules kind of go away as the NWO gets bigger and you just see Hogan just swell in size. Right now, I think we're still riding the steroids deal from Vince having to go to court, and he did beat the case, but I mean, like, Vince had to make a lot of promises that the wrestling business was going to clean up, and I think WCW at this time, they had a deal with the wrestlers that if you would test and you would test clean, you would get a bonus. Now, if you tested dirty, I don't think anything happened. They weren't suspending people or fining people, but there was more money in being clean than there was. I think that's the way Kevin Nash tells the story. But I mean, Hulk Hogan probably had his own rules that he kind of worked with. People say the same thing about the guys that are like kind of part-time, that they don't have the drug test in WWE now these days. Like, you don't ever see when Triple H was wrestling, he never had to do it. Brock Lesnar is the guy that people say doesn't ever have to do it, and he's just big as a house. I mean, he failed his test in UFC, so you can put two and two together that he wasn't doing that just for his UFC training. But Hogan's just, I mean, he's a big dude, but I mean, he's half his size, I guess you can say. So it's definitely a different Hogan. He's wrestling a different style of match. Flair's wearing him down, leaning on him. They're shoving the camera in Shaq's face. He's watching the match intensely. Nick Bockwinkel, who is the WCW president, he's down there watching the match. Jimmy's blowing into his bullhorn, yelling, Hulk, come on. Mr. T just straight up disappeared. I don't know. He made the entrance with Hulk. And maybe he just came as a friend of Hulk and he's not getting paid or something like that, so he just took off. I think one of these early Flair versus Hogan matches, I think they used George Foreman as like some sort of a celebrity out there. If I remember right, I think they ended up using Mr. T more. Because the Mr. T came out wearing the Hulkamania gear. But there's something that I remember in my mind that, Flair's putting him to sleep. Putting the hand up, one. There's two. One more and we're done. Come on, Pee-wee. Hogan's fighting. No, no, no. We're going to get Hulk Hogan up. Shaking the body, shaking the body. Now we're going to go elbow to the gut. Elbow to the gut. Off the ropes. Shoulder. Off the ropes. Shoulder. Flair's up. He's begging for his life. No, 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 no. Right in the corner. Now he's running. Hogan's got the punch. 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 Whip him corner to corner. Flair does the oh shit. Oh! He clotheslined him off the top as he was running from post to post, but now Flair fell outside of the ring. You got to get him inside the ring to win the belt. I would bet that Hogan wins the belt right off the gate. WCW, they gave the house to Hogan to be there. I know that he got a percentage of merchandise, no matter who it was, what it was. I know that he got a percentage of the house. I know that he got a percentage of the pay-per-view buys. If it was over so many pay-per-view buys, like he was there and he actually caused like a difference where the percentage went up, he got even more as a bonus. But I think that like Bischoff just knew that he needed something in the tank, kind of like when Turner was asking, like, what do you need to go head to head and fight with the WWF? I think he needed something special. He needed the Golden Goose. And that's why they went out and got him. I don't know what would have happened. Like, you know, when the Monday Night Wars were going down, there was always like the rumors of like Hulk or Savage going back to WWE. 2002 was kind of like the perfect time because WCW was closed. Hogan goes back with the NWO. Of course, he wrestles against The Rock. He turns face. And, you know, he had some time there. He wrestled full time, I think, for about a year. You know, he does the Shawn match. He does the Orton match. And then he's really done there before he goes to TNA. I think he wrestles 2 matches for them. There was that one documentary. I wish I had that on DVD. It was the documentary that came out of his time in TNA, and he's just having to put the pieces together. Would love to see that. Boom. Boom. I think I'm going to text my DVD guy tonight and see what's going on with him. Off the ropes. Big boot! Do we got it? No, you got to drop the leg. 1, 2. Sherri pulls him out. Okay, that's why we didn't get the leg drop. Sherri and Hogan, they have a history from the Macho King time, when Hogan would work during like the Zeus days, and I'm sure they worked. There's that Macho King versus Hulk Hogan Paris match. It's on one of the Hulkamania VHSs. Still can't believe that those never came out re-released on DVD or just put up on the network or put up on Peacock. Oh, way late in the video, but today, no, I didn't see it yesterday. If you go to Peacock, WWE, one of the very first columns of things to watch, Hulkamania Forever. They got a playlist of Hulkamania, you know, WrestleManias, WCWs, NWOs, a lot of pay-per-views that you have to find his match, or, you know, TV shows you got to find his match. But there was the NWO collection, which was like its own separate playlist that you could play. But it's not horrible to find matches on Peacock, but it's not the best. Right now we got, you know, Hogan in the figure 4 leg lock right there in the middle of the ring. Sherri came off the top rope on him, and that set him up for this. Hogan's fighting for his life. He's reaching for a rope. Pee-wee's asking him if he wants to quit. Hogan's inching over. He just grabbed the rope. You got to break it. Flair doesn't want to break it. Now Flair's fighting the referee. Oh, Sherri's taking off her stockings, and she's choking Hulk. Oh, Sherri is choking the Hulk with her pantyhose. They are doing everything. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that Savage goes to WCW after Hogan's there. Hogan's one of the guys that kind of gets him in the door. I think Miss Elizabeth doesn't show up until after Savage is there. So they're definitely building from here. We're at Batch of the Beach 94. We're 2 years from the NWO. So it's enough time for this Hogan act to draw stale in WCW. I mean, they're definitely improving numbers, but they're not improving at the rate that they thought they would when they first brought Hulk in. Flair's punching him, Hulk's just deadpanning him like, no, that's not gonna work. That don't work for me, brother. Pointing him, waving the finger. Boom, 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 boom. Hogan's just unloading on Flair in the corner. Whip to the corner. Oh, I thought we were setting up for it right there, but Flair came out of the corner, elbow to the head. Now Sherri's going to the top again. Same time Flair's going to the top. Oh, Sherri dives and misses. She's laying dead in the middle of the ring. Now Flair is climbing to the top rope, even though Hulk is up. And we're going to slam Flair off the top. So now Sherri and Flair are down in the ring. Flair's pulling Sherri into the way. Oh! Hulk comes off at the corner, punches Flair in the head, and then on the way by, punches Sherri in the head as well. That was no accident. Hogan punched her on purpose. Now Hogan's got the figure four on Flair. Definitely not the cleanest look in the world. Flair pulled it off without even fighting it off. Didn't go to the corner. Mr. T is back out there. He just pulled Sherri down off the top. He's had enough of Sherri interfering in the match. Now T is taking Sherri out of here, taking her to the back. Flair's looking around like he doesn't know what's going on, but I think he's got breast nuts. He's got the nuts on. Flair just knocked out Hogan. Oh, is it over like that? No, he kicked out. Oh, Hogan is hulking up yet once again. I don't know where the brass knucks went. He must have put them into his tights. Flair's punching Hogan right in the forehead. Nothing here. Right in the teeth. Hulk is hulking up. It's Hulk time. No. Boom! Hogan uses the chest just to knock down Flair. We're punching on Flair's face. Throwing him into the corner. Big boot. Leg drop out of the corner. 1, 2, 3. Hogan's your champ. Hogan minimally wrestled for New Japan as well as WWF in 1993. Comes in the summer of 94. Beats Ric Flair for the WCW Championship to hold the WCW belt for the first time. We're launching off fireworks inside of the Orlando Arena there. I think to this day that this arena is still standing in Orlando. I think they haven't knocked it down. Mr. T's holding the WCW title. Shaq is wearing an all-sport t-shirt, which I think was a knockoff Gatorade at the time. Shaq just choked Hogan. We all know that Shaq loves wrestling. He had the match with Cody Rhodes. He hit Carlito with a steel chair. It was rumored that he was going to fight the Boss Man on a Raw or a pay-per-view or maybe even a WrestleMania for years. He competed WrestleMania 32 in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I don't know how AEW got him to do it, but I wish he would have done it more. I mean, Shaq was a big star. This time, Shaq's playing basketball, and almost every offseason, he's making a movie, whether if it's Shazam or Steel was another one that he made, which I think was like a comic book movie. Blue Chips was one of the first ones he made. Him and Penny Hardaway. Bobby Hurley is in that. Calbert Chaney. I think they couldn't use Duke in the movie, so Bobby Hurley had to play as an Indiana player. Kind of fit. We got Hulk hulking up inside of the ring. He's doing the pose. If you remember AEW, when Jericho wins the championship, when he walks all the way to the back and he does the El Champion and he's showing off his salami tray. I can't remember the exact words, but he called it something cool. And he's got the bubbly and all that jazz. I think that comes from this show. I think Hulk is going to leave, walk to the back. He's going to be good to go. Hulk is fired up, brother. All fired up. Hulk, wanted to say like a little gym night. I know he was in Orlando. Oh, somebody was like taking the camera picture like this. Old school. We got the Hulk Rules blanket up in the top rope. There's just a bed sheet. Looks like they colored it in with pencil. Hulk's walking to the back. Loving on everybody. Alright, that's Hulk in WCW. I mean, they got a full arena there in Orlando. I'm sure they sold that place out. Everybody wanted to see Hulk wrestle. Flair for the first time. Heenan is just... You just can't believe it out there on the outside. But, that's it, man. From there, I don't know. Do we go straight to the NWO? Is there another big Hogan match in WCW? I know he fights Flair a couple of times. Last year I watched them, I think at Bash at the Beach the next year. The steel cage match on Huntington Beach, California, where they said 100,000 people were out there on the beach watching him. Good time right there. Mr. T, Shaquille O'Neal, it doesn't get any bigger than that. They just got to find a way for people to believe what they're doing is for real. That's just about it. Bash at the Beach 94, Hogan.